Hi guys. So welcome to CSAT 2026. This is English practice questions. My name is Abhilasha and I will take you forward. Now, if you can see me and hear me, if I am audible and visible, can you give me a quick yes or no so that we know that I am audible and visible? Also, if you're here and live and rearing and kicking, then please remember to hit like the button. And of course, share this session with your friends and family. And also, please remember to subscribe to the channel, because if you haven't subscribed, then you will not be able to participate in the chat box. So do make sure that you have liked, shared, and subscribed to the channel. Thank you. Let's get started. Here is our passage. A very sweet chota sa passage for you this time. Let's read it. So in September 2025, I'm just going to pick a highlighter of the green color. The US presidential administration announced a sweeping change. Sweeping means a complete change, a big change to the fee structure for the new H-1B visa applications, imposing a one-time fee of US $100,000 on employers who file new petitions for skilled foreign workers, including many from India. This fee applies only to new applications, not to existing H-1B visa holders or those seeking renewals. The change took effect with the next H-1B lottery cycle and created confusion in the tech sector, especially among those who abroad or planning travel, due to uncertainty about whether the rule would impact re-entry or ongoing visa status. Indian IT firms have expressed concern that such a high fee is prohibitive, arguing it could drastically increase cost, alter staffing and project models, and impair business strategies centered on sending talent to the US. However, industry bodies such as NASSCOM responded with cautious relief at the clarifications, including the assurance that a fee is a one-time charge and limited to new petitions, giving companies some room to adapt. The policy has generated public debate not only over its economic consequences but also its humanitarian implications, particularly families of H-1B visa holders, given the large number of Indian nationals who rely on this visa program. So there may be a lot of problems. So, why are the Indian IT firms most concerned about the new H-1B visa fee? Let's take a minute and let's find out. Why are they concerned? Let's read the options. So option number one, because it increases the operational expense and changes project planning, because it prevents them from sending any employees, but it doesn't prevent them, it just causes them to pay more. It reduces the chances of students don't get H-1B visa because it automatically cancels all contracts with their American partners. No, the correct answer will be A, that it is increasing their operational expenses and nothing else, right? So correct answer will be option number A. All right, why is the following correctly describing, which of the following correctly describes how the new H-1B visa will be, visa fee will be applied? It's an annual payment required from every existing H-1B. No, it's not an annual payment. It's a one-time charge applicable only to new petitions and fresh applications. Yes. It's a compulsory renewal. No, it's not a renewal fees. It's a penalty imposed on nationals traveling back to the US. No, that's incorrect. So the correct answer is it is a one-time payment. It says it is applying only to new applications, not to existing visa holders or those seeking renewals. What humanitarian concern does the passage highlight regarding the new rule? So there is a humanitarian concern. What is that? Families of visa holders may face disruption and separation in their travel plans. That's entirely possible. Students planning, but students are not part of the H-1B visa, so remember to limit that. Existing professionals working in the US may face deportation, but why would they? Existing professionals are not being harmed. Governments may stop their citizens from applying for American visa, but that's not a humanitarian concern. The humanitarian concern is that the families will have a lot of trouble. It was mentioned right here in the last paragraph. All right, let's look at the second passage. India's chief economic advisor, V. Ananta Nageshwaran, recently announced the government's market borrowing plan for the second half of financial year 2025-26 will remain unchanged. So market borrowing plan is remaining the way it is. The total borrowing for FY26 has been set at 14.82 trillion, with 6.8 trillion to be borrowed in the second half. He expressed confidence that the center will be able to meet its fiscal deficit target of 4.4% of GDP. Inflation in India is expected to remain subdued towards the end of the calendar year 25, helped partly by recent tax cuts on food and household items. Retail inflation as of August 25 stood at 2.07%. Okay, what according to the passage is the borrowing amount set for the second half of FY26? So the correct answer, we know it, it's 6.8 trillion. We've already seen that here. And therefore, the correct answer had to be option number D, 6.8 trillion. Which fiscal deficit target has the government? Target of 4.4% of GDP. So that's your correct answer. So answer will be option number C, 4.4% of GDP. Right? Anything that is very factual, please make sure that you're picking it up from the passage itself. Question number 6, which factor is cited as contributing to the expectation of subdued inflation towards the end of 2025? The recent tax cuts on food and household items. That's the correct answer. So A should be the correct answer. Increase in government borrowing levels, no. Rising global oil prices was not mentioned. Reduction in fiscal deficit ratio, but again, that was not mentioned with respect to this. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Climate Policy examined how urban green spaces affect heat stress in Indian cities. The researchers found that areas with dense tree cover reduce local surface temperatures by 2 to 3% compared to neighborhoods with little or no vegetation. Okay, so there has to be dense tree cover. They argued that expanding urban greenery is one of the most cost-effective climate adaptation strategies, as it requires less investment than large infrastructure projects while directly improving residents' health. It's a direct impact. The study also noted that green spaces enhance air quality and social well-being, creating multiple co-benefits beyond temperature regulation. However, the author cautioned that rapid urbanization is shrinking such spaces, and without protective policies, the gains may be temporary. So, which of the following is not listed as a co-benefit of urban green spaces? Improving social well-being, enhancement of air quality, boosting local employment, reduction of heat stress. Well, if we look at this question, A is mentioned, so can't be my answer. B is mentioned, so can't be my answer. Employment was not mentioned, so that should be my answer. Reduction of heat stress was mentioned, so that cannot be my answer. Let's look at question number 8. What caution do the researchers provide about the future of urban green spaces? A decline in rainfall may limit their cooling effect, but the author has not mentioned that. Excessive greenery may interfere with broader economic policies. How will that happen? No. Rapid urbanization may shrink them unless policies protect the cover. Yes. So that should be a good answer. International financial aid, but that was not even mentioned, right? So correct answer, rapid urbanization may shrink these urban green spaces. All right, so here are your answers. You can take a look. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to ask. Otherwise, you can drop the comments in the chat box and we will answer your questions. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have already hit the like button and also shared and subscribed to our session. Remember, this session is happening on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Do join in. Thank you, everybody.